So overall, it seems that even though the doctrine of precedent and the role of judiciary is definitely very different from civil law jurisdiction, or quite different from civil law jurisdiction, you still have codified law, you still have acts of parliament. It's just parliament takes common law as a source of law. So basically, this law which is tried in the actual practice, what is happening in life of people, is therefore then codified into some statutes or acts of parliament.
It's one way to look at it. Yes, things that are in common law, the desire, I think, really is both to help written law evolve, statute law to evolve, but also someday to see that reflected in new legislation. It helps us to stay current. It helps us to potentially have new written law in the future. There are circumstances, though, in which the judiciary are reluctant to do things which they feel Parliament should be doing. Fundamental changes in the law, for example, judges may be reluctant to push through when they feel that it should be something Parliament addresses. As I say, though, Parliament are a little bit strained in terms of the amount of legislation they can produce in a year at maybe 70 to 80 acts of Parliament. So there is really a need for judges to be able to, in some ways, create aspects of law in the way they interpret things, just because Parliament simply cannot keep up, especially with the developments that we have now, technological developments. We have a lot of words in legislation that no longer have a direct application to concepts that we have in the modern world. And it would take a disproportionate amount of time for Parliament to work backwards and review all of the previous pieces of legislation, trying to find these issues and update them all.
So we may say that the system a little bit adapt to the all the time changing circumstances, and you have this so sort of civil law code or civil law legislation, but you also have the case law, and this is how the legislation is reviewed and all the time updated. So maybe some other countries should follow the same approach to that extent. So thank you very much, Oliver, for this lecture, and for everyone who attended today's session. We recommend certain for the reading, in particular from OP, SQ Prep and Practice, or from UCL study materials that's specific, manual in regard to legal system of England and Wales, and also some other useful links. I think it would be a good idea to have a look at the transcript of some case law, also to trying to find dicta, right?
Yes, yeah, it would certainly be very interesting to have a look at some judgments. Some of them you can see as well on Bailey, I think is the way I would pronounce it, where we publish some of our decisions.
Yeah, so please have a look in your own time, those resources, because lecture is never enough, for preparation for that complex exam, which is SQE1. And yes, if anyone is interested joining the course for the SQE1, for the live lectures, we will be delivering them every weekend. We may a little bit adjust the dates, also we take into account the wishes of us students. And yeah, you can purchase a particular lecture or you can subscribe to a package. The lectures will be delivered by our different tutors, including Oliver and myself, depending on our area of speciality. So thank you again, Oliver, for this great talk. And
thank you.
It helped people to prepare for the exam and also to understand better the legal system of England and Wales. And welcome to our live lectures. Let's study law together.